wouldn't believe the amount of crispness that you can get off of a pickle if you use these steps that I've showed you today. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be doing some dill pickles, and we're going to do a few different kinds. I'm going to do some dill pickles, I'm going to do some bread and butter pickles, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of relish as well. So I'm going to kind of show you everything here all at the same time. It's a lot easier for me to just do a whole different bunch of batches all at the same time while I'm doing, you know, the whole process. So this is our last picking of cucumbers this year, and I wanted to get a video out there for you guys to show you some really cool ways that you can process and preserve your pickles and cucumbers throughout the whole year. Alright guys, we're going to get right into this, and today we're going to start with washing our cucumbers, okay? So all I'm doing is taking a scrubby, and I just we're going to put them in the sink with some water, and we're going to wash these guys up. So like I said, this is the last picking. We've got some rather large cucumbers here, but that's okay. We're still going to use these. A lot of these bigger ones like this, I will use this for either spears or relish. And then these smaller ones like this, the ones I could find out in the garden, we're going to obviously just leave these whole. This is our last batch of pickles this year. I think we've done 3 full batches, and we've had a very successful dill pickle cucumber year, and we've got some awesome recipes for you guys. And one of our best recipes that we have made this year and last year is our relish. So it's just a dill relish, but I tell you what, it's better than any store-bought relish that you can find. It just is. There's nothing, hands down. I've given it to lots of family and friends, and they have said the same thing. So they are clamoring for this relish. Well, I'm going to show you guys how we do it here. And if you like it, you like it. I would urge you to give it a try. Also, I would urge you guys to, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, because that really helps the algorithm out, helps promote kind of some things that we're doing here, and we would really like to share with as many people as possible some of these preserving tips from our garden. It's going to be a really big bumper crop this year, and we've got different ways that we preserve things that are not always common knowledge. So we want you guys to like these videos and share them out there with your family and friends, so we can help spread the word and really start preserving our own food here. Alright, we got all of our cucumbers washed up. I got a big bowl here that we can put our cut up cukes in. I've got a small bowl here for the ends that we're going to cut off, and we're going to cut off the blossom end. So this here is the vine end, and this here is the blossom end, and we're going to cut about a ½ inch off. So I'm just going to do one here real quick. You know, roughly about that much off, and that's all you gotta do. It's pretty easy. I take the ends and I either give them to the chickens or I compost them. And right now I'm gonna take these ones, they're about this size, and I'm gonna pretty much, most of these I'm gonna put it into spears to at least start. So I just cut them in half and then in half again. So there you go. You got some spears just like that. So what we're gonna do is, this is another good tip for keeping your pickles crunchy. Put them in the bowl. I'm going to get all these cut up. We're going to get them into the bowl, and we're going to salt them. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. cut the blossom end off the cucumber is it has enzymes in that blossom end that just come up about a ½ inch or so into the cucumber that actually make your pickles soggy. So we want to get rid of that. So when it's brining, it's sitting in its brine, that it's not going to make everything soggy. So we're just finishing up here. Got our last pickle, and what we're going to do is I'm going to set this aside, and we've got our very large bowl of pickles here. Cucumbers. We don't have pickles quite yet, but I have some Morton all-natural canning and pickling salt here, and there's probably a measurement. I am really bad at measuring things while I'm cooking, but what you really want to do is get a good layer of salt in here. So you're going to want to put quite a bit in here. It's going to look like a lot, but what we're going to do is we're going to rinse that off. So we're going to let this set, and this is probably tip number 2 is to how to keep your pickles crunchy all year long, is that you want to get as much water out of the fruit, out of the cucumber, as you can. So to do that, you use salt, and it'll draw the water right out of the cucumber. So what we're going to do, we're going to salt this real good, and we're going to let this set for, I'm going to let this set probably 1.5 hours or so. What I do is I use this time to go out and do other things around the homestead that I usually need to do anyways, like, you know, feed chickens and get the jars ready for the pickles, get the canner going. We have a hot water bath canner that I use outside when it's super hot like it is right now. I don't like to heat up the house. I have the air conditioner going. So what I do is I have my water bath canner outside on a turkey fryer, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It's been over an hour now since our cucumbers have been sitting in the salt and brine. So there's actually a lot of water that come off of these. There's probably at least 1 gallon of water that's been drawn off of those cucumbers right now. So we're gonna get our brine ready. I've actually got our hot water bath canner outside going on the turkey fryer, so it's starting to warm up, and we're gonna get our brine going, and by the time our brine is ready, we're gonna get these guys here rinsed off and packed into some jars. So what I'm gonna do first, we're gonna do a few different things here. So first of all, I'm going to do bread and butter pickles. I want to knock that out first. Then I'm going to do some dill spears, and then I'm going to finish up with some relish. And our dill spears and our dill relish is our own recipe. I believe that if you guys try this, it's going to be phenomenal. We love it. I can't keep people from asking me for it. So I do give some away to family and friends, and I just can't make enough of this stuff. So you guys got to try it. Anyways, for the bread and butter pickles, I don't have a recipe of my own, but we are going to use the Mrs. Wages bread and butter pickle packet, and we've used the Mrs. Wages brand things before, and they're really good. I have no problem at all using these. They're flavored well, and we really like them. So we don't eat a lot of bread and butter pickles, but Candace really likes them, so we're going to make some here today. I'm going to knock this out, and we're going to jump right into our dill pickle recipe. That's the Gagne's own dill pickle recipe and dill relish recipe. So let's get this brine going. It actually calls for 6 3/4 cups of vinegar and 7 cups of sugar. So we're going to put that into our pan right now, get it boiling, and I think you just need a slow boil. You don't need a big rocking and rolling boil or anything. So we just get it hot, and then we're going to spoon it into our jars that's packed with our cucumbers. Putting in our 6 3/4 cups of vinegar. This is our white distilled vinegar, and I believe it is 5%. And then I've already pre-measured out our sugar here. So we've got our, I know it seems like a lot, but this is our 7 cups of sugar. Now we're just going to put our packet in. Here you go. That's the one we chose. So, like I said, I've used the Mrs. Wages stuff many times. I make the salsa we make, I've made salsa from the Mrs. Wages packets before, and it always turned out really good. I never had a problem with it. It's got good flavor. It's reasonably priced. You know, this was $2.99, so I mean, you probably got $2.99 wrapped up into all the spices if you went to buy them individually. But anyways, so we're gonna try this with our bread and butters here. We're gonna get this rocking and rolling. We're gonna also make our own dill relish in our dill spears as well. Hang out for that. I have 2 more tips and tricks for you guys yet on how to keep your pickles crisp all year long. Stay tuned. Look at all that water. That's a big bowl too, so there's a lot of water in there. I know there is. So that all that water that's being drawn out of the cucumber right now is going to make your cucumber crisper, or your pickle crisper in the fall, in the winter. I'm still eating pickles from last year, guys, and these things are just as crisp as if I took them right off the vine and ate them. I mean, they're that crispy. So this is a step that I have skipped in the past, and I would not advise to do that. I think it's worth the hour and a half, 2 hours if you can let them set and draw off all that moisture. It's very well worth it. I would highly recommend that you guys do this step. While our brine's heating up, I'm going to take some of the cucumbers that have been sitting in the salt solution, and I'm just going to rinse them off in a colander here, okay? So it's really easy. I just take, you know, handfuls pretty much is what I'm doing, and we just rinse them off in cold water. I have a little sprayer on my sink here, so just spray them off, get all that salt off, and then we're going to pack these jars. So we want to pack the jars as full as possible. And these pickle spears, let me tell you, here, let me show you a jar. About the same size as the jar. Perfect. Just like that. So we're going to have some awesome bread and butter pickles going on here. So when I did have the smaller cucumbers like that, these are going to turn into relish. So I'm not rinsing those off right now. I'm just doing the long spears. Just have my sprayer going and rinsing well. And I usually give it a little shake. And then just turn that off, and I let this dry real well before I start packing the jars. Now in the other sink here, let me show you. In this sink I have my jars in hot water in one sink, and I'm rinsing my cucumbers off, I'm rinsing the salt solution off in the other sink. Once these dry off a little bit, I'm just kind of waiting for them to fully get done dripping, and then we're going to pack these jars up. Our brine's boiling. Our cucumbers now are ready to go, and we're just going to pack jars. And like I say, you want to get these jars packed as full as possible, because you don't want to have 9 bazillion jars that are half full out there. So really take the time, you know, get these full. These are excellent spears. Like I said before, they fit the jar almost perfectly. This is what you want right here, guys. This is Pickle 101, I'm telling you. I stuff as many in there as I can. And I think that's as many as I can. So that is 1 full jar of pickles. And that's one pickle's worth. Like that. Alright, now we just gotta do it like 900 more times. So I believe with the bread and butter pickle packet that we're using from Mrs. Wages, I think we get 6 or 8 quarts maybe. That's kind of what I was planning in my head, which is completely fine. That's enough for what we use of the bread and butter style. We do use more dill ourselves, but we do like to have a little bit of variety. You know, there's things that other people like, so we do have to try different things. I think I can do one more. See that? that, this is how tight I'm packing those. I'm having a hard time pushing that in and pushing them down. And then you do want to leave that head space. So I try to keep it right down to the lid line on the wide mouth quart. Wide mouth quart jars. We got all our jars packed, and I'm going to add one step that wasn't on the Mrs. Wage's packet, but this is something that I use with all of my pickles. It's the Pickle Crisp granules from Ball, and you know, I kind of just guess. I don't, like I said before, I'm not really a good measurer, so I just take a little bit, just shake in there a little bit. If I had to guess, I would say a half a teaspoon is what I'm putting in there. So I just put half a teaspoon, just shake it in each jar like that. I'm hoping I have enough brine for the 6 quarts that I've got going. So we're just going to ladle our brine in now and put the lids on and go out and water bath candies. Alright guys, I've got my little funnel here, and we got our brine. Our brine is boiling. It's a slow roll boil right now, but all the sugar did dissolve. Got my scooper. I'm just going to scoop this brine in here. I'm going to give it a good stir first. Looks like there's mustard seed in there. I want to get that all mixed up and get that incorporated. And you want to leave a ½ inch of headspace on these jars, so make sure you got a little bit of headspace in there, which we do. Aside, I have my lids and rings here, and this right here, you don't want to be a man about it. You don't need to crank them right down, so you just snug them up. You don't have to crank them. And we're going to continue until we run out of our brine. One step I almost forgot about, guys, is you do want to wipe the rims of your jars. So I just take a little bit of vinegar and wipe that rim. Wipe that rim. You just want to get a good seal on that. So you do want to get a good seal on the jars, so make sure to wipe your rims. Alright, we just jarred up our last jar here. We got 9 quarts of bread and butter pickles. And I'm going to go get the first batch going out on the water bath canner outside right now. Alright, we're out here to the water bath canner. And our canner is rolling boil. And we're going to set our basket in here. We ended up with 9 quarts of bread and butter pickles. I do not think I can get that all in one batch. So we're going to do multiple batches, which is fun. I'm going to do as many as I can. So with the quart jars, you want to process for 15 minutes. That's 5. I'm going to do 5 in one batch and 4 in the other. In this water bath canner, it's hard for me to just do 2 jars at a time or something. And I know this is really janky. I have a pair of tongs I'm going to lower this thing in the water bath canner with, but I don't have 2 waterproof oven mitts. So we're just going to drop this guy down very carefully. Just like that. Put our lid on, and we're going to give it the 15 minutes here, and we're going to pull them out and then let them set. Don't touch them, don't look at them, don't try to press on the tops, don't do anything with them for at least 24 hours, okay? So while our bread and butter pickles are water bath canning outside, I'm going to get the brine ready for our dill pickles. And this is super simple. It's a basically 2-part vinegar to water ratio and a ½ cup of pickling salt. So that's all I'm doing. I'm going to start out with probably about 4 or 5 cups probably start with 4 cups apiece, and we'll go from there. We're getting down to the nitty gritty on all these cucumbers here, so we don't have that many jars to fill. So I'm hoping we get about another 4 or 5 jars of our pickles. So we got 4 cups of water. We're gonna take our distilled vinegar. We're gonna put 4 cups of that in there. This is a pretty basic pickling solution, and we're gonna take our pan and we're gonna add 1/2 cup of salt. 1/2 cup. Okay, so the super secret Gagne Farms recipe for our dill pickles, dill anything, dilly beans, relish, dill relish. Here we go. Spoonful, big heaping spoonful of garlic, and I want 1 in each jar. So the reason why I put the spices in the jars instead of the brine itself is now I know that I'm getting the exact same amount of spices per jar, and I'm not just dipping out randomly. And sometimes when you put like mustard seeds and things like that in there, they float on the top and you don't get as many mustard seeds in one jar as you do the next. So that being said, 1 big heaping spoonful of garlic and about the same amount of the pickle crisp granules. I would say 1/2 teaspoon. And you really can't mess that up, so I mean, it is what it is. Just let it roll. Let it rip, tater chip. And then we have the ball mixed pickling spice here. And this is, I would probably say a teaspoon that we put in per jar. Yeah, so I put in a little bit of turmeric and just I would say 1/4 of a teaspoon. It's not much, and a little bit goes a long way with this stuff. So, but I do like it in the pickles. It really adds a little pizzazz to it. So, okay. With that said, this is dill, fresh dill out of the garden, right here, dill, and I like to put 1 head per jar. And then we just pack our jars like we had with everything else. So I'm going to make a batch of dill spears right here, and then we're going to follow up at the end with our relish. Alright, our time is up on the first batch here. So we're going to pull our lid. We'll use our handy dandy tongs to try to lift this guy out, which is always fun. I recommend nobody ever do it. So we're just going to do this like that. Go. And we are going to use, I have a little basket that I use to take these inside with. So we're just going to grab them out of here. We'll go set them inside, and we're not going to do what? What aren't we going to do?
We're not going to touch them. We're not going to look at them.
Not going to look at them.
Not going to breathe on them.
Not going to do anything to them. Leave them right there for 24 hours. So since our water is boiling right here, I am going to put our next 4 jars in. We're going to get these going down right away. Because we still have this batch and at least 1 more batch. Look at that. Doesn't that look good, guys? Doesn't that look good? All right, here we go. Just like that. Throw the lid on. I'm going to take my little grabby thingamajiggers. I don't know what you call them, but...
Jar grabbers.
Okay, we are down to our last little bit of cucumbers. And what I'm going to do is the small ones that you can use as like a baby dill, I'm going to put in a jar by themselves. And there's some in here like that. The rest of them, the misshaped ones, the ones that are really big or something that didn't fit in a jar, we're going to use our chopper. So check this out, guys. This right here will make your life awesome, because you can chop it. You can chop green peppers, you can chop onions, you can chop cheese if you want to. If you want to cut the cheese, you can cut the cheese. It doesn't really matter. You can chop pickles. You can chop whatever you want in here. Garlic, a breeze, I'm telling you. So I will show you right now how to do this. You take a pickle, you put it in a chopper, and then you go like this. Oh. Look at that. Look at that. Perfectly sized pieces of relish. So this is how we make our relish. This is how we do it. I love it. Candace loves it. She'll tell you she loves it. You just sit here, fill up this whole spiel right here. So here at Gagne Farms, we do our baby dill and our relish the same. So we're just going to put a spoonful of our garlic, and then in the for the relish, I'm using half pints, just because you don't usually use a whole lot of relish at one time. I have made pints of relish before, but I'm just filling up these half pints to do it. Okay, so we got our baby dills all packed up here. And now I'm going to do our relish. So all I do is pack our jars of relish with the same, everything's the same. We have our dill pickle jars filled. We've got 4 quarts here. I've got 2 baby dill pints, and I've got 2 pints of relish and 2 half pints of relish. So I'm going to show you right now the secret ingredient that we use here on Gagne Farms to keep everything crisp. And that is the almighty grape leaf. So you take a grape leaf like this, just off of a grapevine, doesn't matter what kind of grapevine or anything. You fold it up, put it in the jar, and this helps keep your pickles crisp all year long. So I always use a grape leaf no matter what I'm canning. I always have one in there, and with using all these steps for keeping your pickles crisp, we've never had a problem here. So it has been phenomenal. You wouldn't believe the amount of crispness that you can get off of a pickle if you use these steps that I've showed you today. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you following along, and I hope you try this method out. If you do, leave it in the comment section down below of how well it worked for you. I guarantee you it'll work for you just as well as it works for me. Alright, guys, thanks, and we'll catch you on the next one.